بنكون مع الحلينية قف كستو قريب كسر نقضي كل كان سأقول السعوديين عضين توي بلعبتي أربعة دي لصور أخي بلعبتي عضين سود مركب يسعوني سا إلا بشكل تمنى اللحظة ذا مركب وحن كل السنين قف عضين من صوب عضين وحن رجينا إن شاء الله ذات يحفظ على ما تقول إن أسود الرعن وماشي عد كأنه ماشي عد كود التقاني كل ينبع ومد ماشي كنت على مورس أي وضع عضيسان إن شاء الله بنرجينا يا ماشي أسواي مركب إن شاء الله قف كسر وحن كل السنين مركب سعود ما تحفظ ده إن أسود الرعن عضينه كسوق يبدونه إن شاء الله دور الشلان وادريني مهم كإلا دور الشلان لا بكون اللي حتى ما لكش في وادريني هدي أنا نقول عضينين عن صوت بحين تبعتوني على قرنه مرك قاعد بوفر حصلنا حي سنة إنه نوي ماذي كوري بوكر نيوجيرسي كالسعودة واحد دبان أقرب كالسرف فردية جوك نيوجيرسي مثلا أو حل دبان فريق كونغرس مرك قاعد بوفر حصلنا إنه كسوق يبقى كلهم كانوا وحلول تلاقي تذكر إلا برارجيو إنه صوت بحان قيد كنا طبعا عضيانا مرك قاعد يد بنكون مع العلم يفضل نجلس دوية Senator Cory Booker.
First of all, Mr. Mohamed, I'm grateful for that introduction. Your eloquence in Somali was phenomenal. I didn't understand what you said about it. You could have said I'm the ugliest senator. You could have said I am the baldest senator. But I am grateful nonetheless in the way that the energy with which you greeted me. I am so excited to be here in Ohio. I am from New Jersey, but I love this state. But more importantly, I love this nation, and I love this nation because we are a nation of immigrants. And it's not only really Native Americans are the only ones that don't come from across the planet. When I trace my DNA leads back a significant part of it to Africa, to Sierra Leone, and to another Western African country. And I'm just grateful for that. I'm the fourth person of African descent ever to be elected, popularly elected to the United States Senate. And I'm very proud of our diverse traditions in this country and how the Senate itself is becoming more diverse. But I'm very also proud to serve with a man from Ohio who just has this tremendous love of everyone. I believe that patriotism is love of country, and you can't love your country unless you love all your countrymen and women. You can't degrade and demean certain groups of Americans and consider yourself a patriot. The reality is, if you love this nation, you should love every one of our people. Our founders even wrote that into our Declaration of Independence, that this nation, our people, have to love each other, or they say in a different way, they say we must mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And so Sherrod Brown is one of those guys that lives such patriotism. I have this saying, and by the way, should I stop at any point?
No, please go. It's all in here, so I'll definitely...
You're going to recite my whole speech.
I will.
That's very impressive. I have this saying that says, someone who is nice to you, but not nice to the waiter, is not a nice person. And I like to watch how my colleagues treat the people that work in the cafeteria or the people that clean the bathrooms. And I have to say, of all the people in the Senate, nobody is more kind and more decent than Sherrod Brown. But more than that, Sherrod Brown is one of those guys that sticks up for the people that other folks ignore or look down on or disregard. In fact, he and I joined together when our cafeteria workers in the Senate were getting jerked around by the contractor who wasn't paying them what they deserved. And we were able to successfully fight to get them back pay and pay raises. And really, that's the kind of leader Sherrod Brown is. Here he's responsible to represent the state of Ohio, but he knows he goes to work every day and that he cannot work in an institution that's not doing right by the people that are often marginalized. And should I stop there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now I want to see this.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on, I gotta film this.
Okay.
No pressure, no pressure. This is not pressure at all, man. No pressure at all.
marka aad iyo aad baan ku mahadcelinayaa xildhibaanka waxyaalo badan buu taaftay markaan soo koobaya insha Allah inta awoodeyda aan soo
Okay, go ahead. I'm set.
marka aad iyo aad baan ku mahadcelinayaa waxaan rabaa wax yarna ku laabtay xildhibaanka waxyaalo badan buu taaftay inaan ku celceliyo wuxuu ka taabtay waddankan horta kulligan baa qaxooti baan nahay waa inaan fahno dad badan baa fahansanay laakiin waddankan qof kasta degan oo ka ahayn Native American-ka waa qaxooti qof waddankan soo galay qof European ka yimaado wadamo kale ka soo galay kulligan baa qaxooti baan nahay annaguna qaxooti baan nahay waa la kala cusub yahay waqtiga lagu kala yimaaday laakiin kulligan baa qaxooti aan nahay qodobkaas buu aad u taabtay taasna waxay ku tusaysaa waddankan lagama laha waddanka ala askari waa waddankan marka qayb ka noqdo codaynta iyo ololeynta siyaasadda wuxuu ka taabtay haddana shared bound waa la socotay kulliganba waan u codaysan baan rajaynayaa waqti dheer buu gobolkan xilka hayaa waana ninka la shaqeeya haddana oo
No, keep translating.
marka waxaan rajaynayaa marka dadku insha Allah shared bound in loo codeeyo loo soo baxo sababta ay ku tahay shared bound waa anaga xildhibaankeena matala anaga gobolka Ohio marka fadlan asaga ha loo codeeyo wixii wax badan baa isla qabanay wax badan baa isla qalabeynay I was going to do a pause real quick, but marka wax badan ma isla qabanay buu yiri xildhibaankeena uu nala shaqeeyay uu nala taagan yahay marka fadlan soo baxa ha loo codeeyo wuxuu ka taabtay markuu isku laabtay isaga xitaa jinsiyada isaga xitaa ka socdo ana xitaa isku dhex jir baa dad badan baa kala socdaa kala duwan jinsiyadeeda wuxuu yiri waxaan ahay dadka marka wuxuu yiri waxaan ahay laba xildhibaan bas baa xildhibaanada aqalka soo laba bas baa fariista isaga iyo wiilka kale waa madow qof kale madow kuma jiro oo macluumaadka hadii la fiiriyo yani marka waxay ku tusaysaa marka wali siyaasadda xitaa in anagu bislaan oo waddanka xitaa dadka ay ku adag karsi u galaan laakiin wax kasta wax bedeli kara anaga inaan soo baxno codeyno marka la ku cilniyaa marka dhamaad waxaan rajaynayaa inaan banaanka u baxno oo insha Allah isku wada raacno meesha
So I got the inshallah. Inshallah, one day I will learn to speak the language as well as you. Inshallah, we will re-elect Sherrod Brown.
Inshallah, we will Richard Cordray for governor.
Yes, inshallah, Richard Cory for governor. Inshallah, we will have a new president in 2020. All right, so I just want to finish by saying this. It is so important that all of us understand that. I'm sorry.
He's actually shaking your hand. Big fan here. Big fan.
Thank you. Very much. That's my first hug in Ohio. So I just want to say it's really important for all of us to understand that this nation and our blessings don't come by accident. It didn't just happen. A lot of people had to struggle to make it happen. And the struggles of this country, whether it's the civil rights movement, the suffrage movement, came not from Washington, but came from Americans who took responsibility and made the change happen. In fact, for a lot of our great changes, Washington resisted them. And it was the activism of people in the communities from all backgrounds, white and black, native-born and immigrant, who joined together to fight for change. And so in this moment in American history, this moral moment, where we have challenges that are really frustrating to many of us, we have even a president that refers to countries from the continent from Africa with vulgarity. This is a moral moment in our country, and the way to respond to it is with activism and engagement and involvement. And so my request to everybody here is not just that we go to the polls now and vote. That's good, but that's not enough. We need to wake up our communities. We need to engage our communities. We need to make sure that everybody has a voice. And in this country, in a democracy, as you all know, your vote is your voice. Your vote is the most important act of citizenship, at least the fundamental part of our citizenship in this country, is to use our vote, is to speak up, is to not be silent. Because the opposite of justice is not injustice. The opposite of justice is apathy, indifference, and inaction.
قضاء بدن بتاعته قضاء مهم سواء حوي وكل عليه مرات بدن وليه ومهم أننا جنونا فحنا وحوي بدن كان حقوقياش عن أحيي سنة وقلال سنة بلوسه هالجميع هل قلنا ما عين دولة أي تاجر سنة دولة ويلد قالن دولة حد لنا وأنا عدين نقطين بدن بلد قالني حقوق هذه اللي في ذلك مدوقة حقوق هذه اللي دمرك ما عدين شنو واجه عدكي والله قالني حقوق المدوقة حقوق ذاتك إيجنك ذاتك صور نبى حقوق أي هيستان هذا هل جنب أسوق قرية دجال كاسر محكين وذاتك بالشدة كاملة وكعي وهالجن ودجالن ودنتي بقيب كأها مركز وإنا درين أرتا إنا عدين تان حتى دجال بلوسو قري dagaal baa ka dhacay waddankan iyo buuq sida qofka madowga ma u codayn karin gabadha ma u codayn karin marka waxa way halgan kala soo maray qofku inuu dareemo marka codaynayso marka ogow dad baa u dhintay codkaaga inay hesho taa qodob muhiim in la fahmo waayo waa ina oo soo haddana fahno in annagu xil baa naga saaran qof kasta naga mid ah inuu dagaalamo uu halgamo uu communities intuu gaaro codayn ugu yeero inay codeeyaan inay fahansan yihiin siyaasadda wax ka socda inay fahmaan siyaasadda dhinac kasta saameyn bay nagu leedahay waa dareennay kulligaanba hadda sanadkii la soo 2 sano ka hor 2016 doorashadeennii waa dareennay baahida aan u qabno in aan codayno waan dareennay dad badan baa codaynin oo kadibna ka shalay ka mid ah marka waa inaan dareenno hadda waa inaan cod bas lama ogtahay waa inaan mujiga garaa waa inaan telefono wada waa inaan faham kulligaa dadka aan aqaanay qoyskeena u yeero inay soo baxaan lagama maarmaan waa hadda marka waxaan rajaynayaa haddana waxaan haysanaa sample ballot baa lahayaa marka kuwaasna hala qaato fadlan codka meesha loo geeyo insha allah aad baa umaasan
That was it?
Yeah.
All right.
Summarize it.
All right, that's good. And so I just want to make sure, again, that all of us get out there and support Sherrod Brown. We need to make sure that we not only have him back, but we have important checks and balances on the president, that we retake the Senate and make sure that we can have a voice in Washington that fights for Ohioans, all Ohioans, not just some, but all Ohioans. So thank you very much.
marka aad baa idinku mahadcelinayaa muhiimka waxa in la soo baxo hal la codeeyo isbedelada waan u jeednaa waxa loo codeeyay Sherrod Brown waa ninka u taagan xildhibaanka gobolka anaga oo hayna matala dimuqraadiyiin dad badan baa u tartamaya Richard Cory wuxuu tartamayaa gudoomiyaha gobolka
Yes.
Stephen Daddlebatch wuxuu tartamayaa Attorney General
Yes.
tartamayaa xil ilaaliyaha gobolka Kathleen Clyde waxay u tartamaysaa xuquuqda Secretary of State u tartamaysaa
Yes.
dagaalamaysaa dad badan baa jira soo koobi karin oo gobolkan dhan baa down the ballot kulli waa inay wada codeysiin oo soo wada baxsiin insha Allah
Inshallah.
marka codeeya
Is thank you, shukran?
Yeah.
That's in Arabic technically, but it could pass.
Okay, no, what is coming out of it? Teach me how to say that.
Mahat Senate.
Mahat
Senate.
Senate. I serve in the Senate. So Mahat Senate.
And I do want to give, this is my uncle, he's a great fella, so he just wants to say a couple words. A big fan of Senator Booker, so hopefully.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm late and I apologize. I'm supposed to be early. Ralla hada wa soo daahay inaan early maaday meel kale u jarmaaday uma soo istaagin inaan khudbad iraado Ismail you can translate no problem
Okay, perfect.
I can translate that let him translate
Okay.
saddex arrimood baan soo istaagay ma aaminsanahay in gabadha aan shaqayn oo laba ilmood haysata oo aan luqadda aqoon ina daycare carruurta loo geeyo ma aaminsanahay
Yes.
in la joojiyaa la rabaa ma aaminsanahay odayaasha aan shaqayn oo wada xanuunsan oo wada isbitaalka ifsii socda ka soo socda inay daawadooda helaan iyagoon bixin karinin wixii la siiyana oo jeegooda yarkaa intuu la egyahay ilaahay u qoray inay helaan ma aaminsanahay
Yes.
in la joojiyaa la doonaya labada arrimood ma ugu adag tahay innanka ma guurayna diyaar miyaana inaan guurno berrito
My.
arrinta saddexaad oo meeshan taalla waxaa weeye waxaa la rabaa healthcare-da in la joojiyo waxaa la rabaa daycare-da in la joojiyo waxaa la rabaa caafimaadkoo dhan in la joojiyo waxaa la rabaa dad 3 qof 4 qof in contract in lagu siiyo mid daycare mid transportation midna home healthcare maxaynu qabanaynaa innagu Amerikaan baan nahay marti ma nihin dalkeennii baan joognaa waa inaan dagaalanaa codkeennaan isku difaaci karnaa inaan isdifaacno weeye inaan dagaalanno weeye qof kasta oo codayn kara waa inuu codeeya kaan codayn karinna kaan codayn kara inuu yidhaahdo codee weeye darawalka traagga wada waa inuu codeeya early codeeya maalintii jooga waa inuu la kaxeeyo oo codeeya waxaad codaynaysaa inaad tidhaahdi yaan u booda republican governor ma body line wax la yidhahdaa jira marka la wadayo democrat
So a couple of things. My uncle said 3 main things. One is, do we believe in that when a single mother is, struggling to raise her kids or put her kids through a daycare? Because there are people that are fighting against that to make it harder for families and for mothers to be able to get credit to healthcare. Also, healthcare is another big issue. I mean, obviously, the Republicans have done everything they can to fight against Medicaid expansion. We have someone who's running for Governor Mike DeWine who actually does not believe in pre-existing conditions, which is, I don't know if most of you guys know, but almost everyone here does have some level of a pre-existing condition. If you don't know that, you probably do. You get yourself checked. So it applies to everyone. That affects every single individual. So healthcare, making sure that we have access to quality education. So do we believe in that? Because that is the ultimate thing.
I believe in that. I believe in that.
And also, So the last thing my uncle said was basically that we're not guests here. We are Americans. We're a nation of immigrants. Everyone, I mean, the people came here, you know, no matter how far back you go, everyone here is an immigrant. It's just a matter of when they came here. Whether you're Irish, Italian, German, it doesn't matter where you came from. We're a nation of immigrants. So we're not any less American than any other community. And that we have to put that out there and make sure that we're voting, that we're involved, that we're active, that we're engaging communities and people that are not able to vote, but they're not trying to vote, that may not want to seek out voting. Because I think in the 2016 election, I mean, we know now more than ever that there are actual consequences to elections. We know that. We're actually living in that currently. So, I mean, that matters absolutely. So make sure that you're coming out to vote, you're engaging your communities. And he's a big fan of you, obviously. Okay, perfect.
What's that?
So hopefully we can mingle for a little bit and then we're all set.
Yes, I know. Is that what she whispered to you? She got the whisper that. She got Yes. Should we get one? Should we get one pic? Can I?
Yeah, we can take
Hold on. Can I get what they call a selfie? If I can get that?
Yeah.
How do you say selfie in Somali? In the Somali community here in Columbus, Ohio. This is some friends. You did? Oh, that's great.
Now it's picture time.
Thank you so much. I have a question.
Question, please, go ahead. Please.
I'm Somali by origin. I'm Somali American. I love Somalia and I love America.
Yes.
What can you do for Somalia?
That's the right question. That is the right question. Because just I want everybody to know, I am a member of the Foreign Relations Committee.
Yes.
And we deal with a lot of the Somali issues. And we all know that the Somali community here, just like the Irish community is often connected to Ireland and cares about what happens. The Russian community here cares about what happens in Russia. It is right for us as Americans all to care about other countries. Somalia is going through a difficult time. There is tremendous violence. Al-Qaeda's affiliate there, Al-Shabaab, is destabilizing the nation. You have a new election that just happened. That a government is trying to get control, but you have provinces right now that there's some conflicts. On top of that all, we have problems with humanitarian issues. We're suffering now with a lot of hunger in the region, with a lot of people's livelihoods being undermined. People that used to live on the land and have dignity in self-sufficiency, now because of the conflicts in the region and a lot of the other challenges, some of them environmental, is becoming more difficult. The whole Horn of Africa now is facing challenges. And so your question about what can we do, I just want our nation to understand that patriotism is love of country, but love should not stop at the borders. America has always been a nation, for generations, Republican and Democratic presidents, who've understood that we have a moral obligation on this planet, and also understood that if we don't get involved in other nations, often those problems could end up being our problems. In other words, the instability in the Middle East came back and haunted us when it comes to terrorist acts on this soil. And so what I am fighting for, along with other members, is to try to fight against some of the changes that Donald Trump is trying to make. Because I'm telling you right now, when you have a president that disrespects other nations, that literally calls African nations by derogatory names, who is trying to pull back humanitarian aid to help government and civic institutions, when he's trying to shift our State Department and bring it down, that is wrong. We in America have an obligation, especially in areas that could come back and have an impact upon American safety, American security. Martin Luther King said something. He said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a common garment of destiny. We know this when Ebola breaks out in East Africa, that is not going to be contained to one country. It could literally create a global pandemic. And so if we are not proactively working on global health issues around the country, that could come back and haunt us. We've seen how terrorism in the Middle East, often coming from instability in countries, often coming from poverty and famine and people turning to extremism and terrorism, that if we could get involved in countries often and reduce those conditions that are creating the instability, we wouldn't have to pay so much more on the back end through military intervention. So yes, the United States needs to continue its work to working with the Somali government to fight al-Shabaab. I'm committed to ending terrorism in our globe. But I also am smart enough to know, as most Americans are, that one of the best ways to undercut the instability that creates strength for al-Shabaab is to give humanitarian aid. Because when people have a livelihood, when people have the dignity of work, when people have access to clean water, they can't often be corrupted by people who want to twist the beautiful faith of Islam. They want to twist those ideologies and rile them up into terrorism. And so the two things I want to do, we want to continue to help to provide stability. We want to continue to provide humanitarian aid. We want to continue to support governments that are going to establish democracies. And on top of that, we want to fight against terrorism.
Thank you.